tell companies, oh, if you move overseas, we'll give you this kind of tax break. We shouldn't be doing that. We really shouldn't be doing it. We should be focusing on our people here and building it back. And then part of the reason for ending the war in Iraq is dedicating that $10 billion a month to strengthening America, health care, education, and infrastructure, and things like that. Yes, sir.
Personal comment and observation, please. I've spoken with a number of people in the oil industry, and they all pass the buck, and I believe that it's true. The refineries are what we need, not more drilling. The refineries are running at capacity, and nobody's saying anything about let's build more refineries. They're talking about let's open up more drilling. Well,
that's in my
drilling is providing far more than what the refineries can accommodate.
Did you see my television commercial where I say we need new, clean refineries? It's in my commercial, but you're exactly right. We have a problem on that supply side. Exactly right.
Just a personal opinion. A personal opinion. I object to calling it a war. I lived through a war as a very young person when everybody was sacrificing. There were no 1943, 1944 automobiles, very few in 1945, because we were at war. There was no sugar. Sugar was rationed. Tires were rationed. Gasoline was rationed to everyone. We were at war. Today we have some soldiers, some military people doing battle far away, but it's wrong to call it a war. It's a battle maybe, but the country was at war back in World War II, where everyone was sacrificing to some extent.
Thank you, thank you. And you're absolutely right. In our modern times, this is the first time we've gone into a conflict like this without paying for it. We're passing the bills on to future generations. This is we had, President Johnson had a war surtax. World War II, we had war bonds. We paid for it as we went along, and we're not doing that. Yes?
Can you tell me what your policy is on the future of the national labs in a declining nuclear weapons environment?
You bet, you bet. She's asked about the national labs and where we should go and what the policy should be there and what I'm leading out on. First of all, these two national laboratories we have in New Mexico, Sandia and Lamb, are national treasures. And you all should take the opportunity, if you get the chance with friends or relatives or people to visit and learn more about what they're doing. I mean, every time I visit, I learn a lot more about our society, the scientific challenges, the work that's going on. They're truly, truly national treasures. And so as we look at the missions and we look at the changing times, we need to make sure that they are focused on the big challenges that face us, okay? What's happened at these two labs here are called, along with Lawrence Livermore, there are three of the national laboratories that are national security labs. They focus on national security issues, and President Bush has proposed, and he's gone through a lengthy commenting process, says we're going to shrink the footprint of national security, the national security labs. We're going to make it smaller. They're going to be less employees, and they projected that out over time. And I stood up when that happened, and I said, we need to, along with the national security mission, which is very important, we need to grow that mission in other areas, and we need to diversify our mission. We need to focus on the energy I talked about. One of the biggest problems with nuclear, one of the biggest problems with renewable energy. I'll start with nuclear. One of the problems with nuclear is we got serious waste problems, number one, okay? We got very serious waste problems. And the laboratories have the people to work on those problems and help us with them. We're going to have problems decommissioning plants. We're going to have all of that. On renewables, what happens, see, when you have a wind turbine blowing and the wind doesn't blow, then you're not generating electricity. When the sun doesn't shine, which we're lucky here, that's why we're going to be the Saudi Arabia of wind. That's what New Mexico's going to be. when the sun doesn't shine, like many places in our country, you don't generate solar. So the key is, and you can ask somebody that's gone off the grid with solar, they have to have batteries and storage. We have not cracked the solution to finding how you store large amounts of energy so that you can plug them into the system when people need them. If you were looking today at what time is it? Here it's about 11:30, and right between now and 2 o'clock in the afternoon, what happens is the power surges up, and at about 2 hits the maximum point. And in order to reach that point, they kick in natural gas and coal and things like that to peak up to that point. Well, if we could get renewable energy to be stored so that it could be pumped in to do that, then we're moving in the direction dramatically of having renewables take over the situation and solving a lot of the problems that are interrelated. Los Alamos and Sandia are working, and in particular Los Alamos, on that battery research. There's some very good research that's going on there. So I would like to see the national security part of the labs stay strong and vibrant in the climate we're in. You know, they're doing things like figuring out how to deal with these IEDs up there. This is a different kind of conflict situation, as the gentleman just said. And there are ways that you can figure out to protect the soldiers more that are out there on the front. And so they're doing that work, but they can do other work. And that's one of the things that we really need to fight for to make sure that they're a part of that situation along with the national security situation. Yes?